This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Kindness. We see it all around us. We see it when someone pays for someone else's coffee or holds the door open for another person. We see it in the smallest of gestures, like a smile or a kind word. But it's different when we turn on the news or social media. Oftentimes, what we hear about, what outlets are pushing, is the opposite of kind. Welcome to the Kindness Matters podcast. Our goal is to give you a place to relax, to revel in stories of people who have received or given kindness, a place to inspire and motivate each and every one of us to practice kindness every day. Hey, hello there, and welcome to the Kindness Matters podcast. I am your host, Mike Rathbun. We have a fantastic show for you today. If you care about kids' mental health and you like dogs, this is going to be the show for you. A couple things first. As you may have heard in the intro, I am a member of the Deluxe Edition Network, and they have 2 podcasts of the month for the month of May. The first is the Barrel-Aged Chicks. Are you a fan of the Barrel-Aged Flicks podcast? Are you into movies, pop culture, comedy? Are you curious about what the chicks think? If you answered yes to any of those questions, then you have to check out Barrel-Aged Chicks podcast. Come meet Sammy, Snow, Crystal, Harley, and Yen as they give you the chick perspective on movies and so much more. The other show for the month of May is Barstool Film School, a conversational comedy breakdown of some of your favorite flicks, old and new. Each episode, hosts Dylan Quarles and Cameron Roberts take on your favorite flicks to determine if they pass the bar, and join the ranks of truly excellent bar movies. Good bar movies can be hit or miss, but you'll never know until you take your shot. Also, please make sure to check out the show notes where you will find links and discount codes for 2 companies that I have partnered with, Sunday Scaries, a company that makes broad-spectrum CBD gummies, and Coffee Bros, that make an amazing blend of coffees. I use both of these products, and they are nothing short of amazing. Now, let's get into the show. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am so excited because the story that I'm going to tell you, that we're going to tell you, is so important and so cool. My guest today is an avid dog lover. She is an advocate for the underdog.
We're showing off our shirts.
Yeah. She's a vocalist and a speaker, and she brings with her heart, hope, and inspiration to people and their loved ones struggling with mental health diagnoses through her nonprofit organization, You're Not Alone. Welcome to the show, Amy Tyson Walls. So good to have you here.
Thank you for having me. And yep, we wore our dog shirts today, didn't we?
We did. To be fair, it's not the same dog shirt.
No.
But it's dog themed. And
Yes.
yeah, we love our dogs, don't we?
Oh, they're family.
They really are. And I mean, I see my dogs more than I see my kids nowadays, so.
You and me both. Our kids joke that our puppies have become our children as they've moved away. And I'm like, they are.
I know. I think my wife has gotten in the last couple of years more dog-themed gifts at Critton. There was a dog mom Christmas ornament a couple of years ago, and a dog mom hoodie, and yeah. So, talk to me about You're Not Alone. How did this all start? Because this is such an amazing organization.
Thank you so much. I would say that this organization was planted in my heart way back in about 2007.
Oh, wow.
But we did not do anything with it until 2019 when I received a new puppy. That was part of the vision of our future in our nonprofit, You're Not Alone.
Okay. Um, and I love, okay, so let's talk about what You're Not Alone does.
Absolutely. Our mission statement with You're Not Alone is You're Not Alone seeks to shatter the stigma surrounding mental illness, one therapy dog at a time.
So, and you have, you didn't start this way, but right now, currently, you have teams of therapy dogs and their owners. Are they all their owners?
Yep, their owners,
Okay,
we call them handlers.
handlers. I
Yep,
apologize.
no, that's
So
okay.
therapy dogs and their handlers that go into schools primarily, right? So this is for
Exactly.
kids.
Yeah, so back in 2021, I started bringing my little golden retriever, Willow, into Monticello Middle School every week because we couldn't go into the hospital setting like I had planned to because of COVID.
Sure,
But
sure.
it was a full circle moment, though, in our family because really, You're Not Alone started back in 2007 when I was in the midst of my mental health crisis as a mom of tween-age kids getting help. And then in 2007, our 11-year-old son, trigger warning, attempted
Yeah.
suicide. And he was a sixth grader, and we didn't really know what was happening. He wasn't sharing with us what was going on. And it all came out in the emergency room. He had been being physically bullied in the school for months
Oy.
and kept it to himself, didn't share it, didn't talk about it, and drove him to mental health crisis.
Yeah. That is so. First of all, I find myself with mixed emotions because I'm sorry that happened, but I'm
But
happy that, I mean, because if that hadn't happened, you might still not know about it.
exactly. I had had a pet growing up, but my children had never experienced having a pet. They had a mom that was extremely perfectionistic, and that was part of my mental health. Trying to keep control of my life as my mental health was spinning out of control, keeping the house perfect. There couldn't be any, dog hair. Oh gosh, never. We would never go on there. But after our son got out of inpatient care and tried to do outpatient, he just didn't want to talk about his feelings. But what 11-year-old sixth grade boy really wants to. And so they recommend we think about getting him a dog.
Interesting. That was their recommendation.
There was, and it changed our lives, it changed our future. And who knew that the unconditional love of a pup could come into a family of 5, all suffering with anxiety that had never been addressed, had never been diagnosed,
Right.
and give us that just unconditional love and gave us hope and something to build our lives around. And
Yeah, for sure. And I have there been a lot of studies on the connection between humans and dogs
I
in a
think
mental health setting?
um, I don't think a ton, but we're working to make that a difference. That's part of our make a difference. Is the thing that's so unique about animals is that when we're around animals, we have a chemical reaction in our body.
Yeah.
We get that happy oxytocin release in our brain
Yeah.
that gives us that good feeling. And then the minute you start petting a dog, your blood pressure drops.
Yes.
So having this chemical reaction in your body just being around an animal, you'd be amazed at how that creates this comfortable, peaceful environment for people to share.
So,
Young and old, doesn't matter.
yeah. And I know the same feeling. I know the feeling you're talking about because when I pet my dog, I can actually feel my blood pressure go down.
Mhm.
And especially, if you're having a bad day or you're stressed or you're anxious about something and maybe, the dog jumps up on your lap and you're like, I don't want, but if you just take a moment
Yep.
and you let the dog just lay down and start petting it, you'll find that you feel a lot better. So, and I was thinking about kids the other day, and I know that kids today are under so much more stress than I was when I went to school. And I'm not going to say how long ago that was, but I mean, when I went to school, we didn't have social media for one thing.
Exactly.
We hadn't just been through a pandemic for another. And
Exactly.
kids, what is it about adolescence that those years in middle school when I was going to school, it was called junior high school.
Yep.
Um, why is it so important to reach them in those years?
I think that they, well, just looking back, even when we were that age, you not only have all these hormone shifts going on,
Oh, yes,
but the need to feel wanted and welcomed in a community and with friends, to be accepted,
yeah,
peer pressure to be what everyone else is so great. And when we were
yeah,
young, if we
yeah,
were
for sure.
bullied, we could go home at the end of a school day and not have an issue. We could rest up for the next day, take a break from the bullying, whatever, and get ready for the next day of school. But these kids, it's 24/7. It's
It is.
cyberbullying. They have no respite from it at all. And social
No,
media, everyone is seeing everyone's what we call a reel. Their wonderful vision, everything's wonderful, none of the bad stuff. So then they
right.
compare themselves, and it's a storm waiting to really erupt.
Oh, for sure. And
Mhm.
again, that talking, I keep going back to it, but COVID, I saw a study, and I'm not going to be able to remember but
Mhm.
just the amount of anxiety and depression, the increase after COVID.
Oh,
Is that when you guys decided to start doing
yep.
this?
Yeah, and I think that was why it took off so well, because we come into schools at no cost to the school. So that's an easy sell right there. If
Right.
they don't have to worry about their budget and they can just hear our message and why we are doing what we're doing, a school, it's kind of a no brainer. If you have people volunteering to come in as another level of support, um,
Absolutely.
yeah, and we bring this, so we are known as a mental health nonprofit that utilizes therapy dogs in the school. So, first off, we're all about good mental health.
Yep.
Um, and when you have this dog, this vessel, like our therapy friend says,
Oh, I like that.
yeah, that creates that calm environment of kids that might not have ever spoken to the school counselor or the social worker, but they sit in this environment where they relax and they can hear maybe some tips or things about anxiety. Or we talk about the unconditional love of our animals and what does that mean for them at home with their pets.
Sure.
Just make them aware that.
Um, so okay. So walk me through you go into a school once a week, is
Yep,
it?
yep, same dog, same handler. So we
Okay.
assign a team to a school. And our mission is to create a small community within the school. So we want the dog to get school pictures if they can. They get their own badge.
Oh,
We put their 8x10 in the office so when people walk in, they know that they have a pup on staff.
I
And
love that.
we make that continuity so the kids know, oh, today it's Wednesdays with Willow Day. Each school has a little different name for how they run it.
Sure.
And they have us up to 2 hours. And we create
Okay.
small groups with the help of the school. So we have a school, whether it's a social worker or a school counselor that's with us. And we do puppy passes. So we try to create
Okay.
like groups of 12.
Okay. So the school, they can identify those kids that they feel might be most benefited by.
Yep. There are 2 ways you can do it. In Monticello Middle School, where I started, we have always done the general population of kids. Whoever can get to the puppy passes first gets
There's a
to come
limited
up.
amount of puppy passes.
There are a limited amount, yes. We last year, or when we first started, we had 20 kids in a group, and that was too
Okay.
many.
Okay.
12 to 15 is best for everyone to get hands-on time if they want it.
Hey guys, we will be right back with my conversation with Amy Tyson Walls after these quick announcements from another great Deluxe Edition Network podcast.
Are you a fan of all things nerdy? Do you love delving into the latest pop culture trends while also staying updated on the news of the day?
Hey there, fellow enthusiasts. Professor Aubrey here, and I'm thrilled to invite you to join us on Friends Talking Nerdy podcast, where we dive deep into all things geeky, from movies and TV shows to video games and comics.
That's right, folks. It's Tim the Nerd, your friendly neighborhood geek, ready to discuss the latest professional wrestling updates alongside our takes on tech innovations and the entertainment industry.
But that's not all. We also understand the importance of mental health, and we weave in thoughtful discussions on self-care and mindfulness.
So, if you want to geek out while also taking care of your well-being, tune in to Friends Talking Nerdy.
Friends Talking Nerdy, where pop culture meets mindfulness. Listen now on all major podcast platforms.
This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Okay. So it's not like the whole school assembly is there, and that's and just so are the kids opening up when
Oh.
Willow was there?
Very much so. I can't even tell you right now the number of students that have felt comfortable opening up to me. And
Wow.
the staff that's right there, they make sure that they get them to the school counselor. And it's just because of that environment. If you come in and I share my story, which wasn't the plan, I wasn't
You weren't
planning
gonna.
on. No, I didn't think I had the right to do that. But they said, please do. And it created this environment of non-judgment and just an open, calm space to talk. So the number of kids that either have come forward with anxiety or depression to get help, I've helped kids get over their fear of dogs. We've had one student whose house, he watched his house burn to the ground.
Oh.
And he came in, I said, how are you today? And I just watched my house. I just need Willow. So we do it where certain kids can come. So schools do pinpoint maybe some kids that really need it,
Sure.
or they do general or a mix. I love when my special ed students come and join the group, or they can have one-on-one time in between sessions with Willow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So there's and sometimes it's used as a like, let's see, how do I want to say, a perform achievement. Like they earned the privilege to come and have one-on-one time.
Nice.
So there's different ways of it being used in schools, and it's kind of up
Sure.
to the school's discretion how they want to do that.
Okay. That's so cool. I absolutely love that idea. And as you were saying, because schools are pretty budget conscious,
Very.
so and and it seems like support staff is being cut a lot lately.
It
And
is.
so something like this, you're offering a resource. And now I know that you have big plans for You're Not Alone. You would love to see this. Currently
I
you're in Minnesota.
Well, we've expanded a little bit outside of Minnesota. So
Oh, yay.
so here's a perspective. A year ago right now, I was the only team in one school. And thanks to WCCO and 2 feature stories they did last year, we are now 28 therapy teams in 23 schools since September.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so mostly Minnesota, but we are in the Hudson School District in Wisconsin. And we have a team already out in Providence, Rhode Island.
Yay.
Yay! Yep. So we didn't think national was going to happen in our first big year, but
Oh,
we had
yeah.
interest. Yeah.
Yeah, those are huge. I mean, it's one of those things, it's always a goal, but you never really imagine it would happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. So, how do you find your teams?
It's a good question. I speak quite a bit. And it's interesting because there are a lot of people out there that don't realize it's not terribly hard to become a therapy dog team, but most people don't know how do you go about it. So when I speak or I have a meeting with a staff at a school, I'll say, do you have anyone on your staff that has a great dog that they'd like to learn how to become a therapy dog team? There's always somebody. So once a month, I'll do a Zoom call to help people talk them through how to go through the process
Yeah.
and what it all entails. So once a month, I do that. And then, or we have teams that are already certified and they hear about us and they say, I want to go into a school in my community. So it's both.
I'm kind of hoping we can do that with this podcast.
I am too. I would love that. I need some teams down towards Rochester, Wabasha, Zumbrota. I've got
Okay,
some schools for the fall that I'm looking for teams.
cool.
So,
What
yeah.
goes into training a therapy dog?
Yeah.
Obviously, not every dog is going to make a good therapy
No.
dog. Although I think given the opportunity, probably would. But
Yeah. Obviously, a dog that loves people. And they're always our pets. So you could get trained. Let's say your daughter has an amazing golden retriever, but your daughter works all the time. You could
yeah.
get trained with that dog to be a team. So it's not just the dogs that live in our house. If
Oh,
you have a connection with somebody that has a well-trained dog that you could walk through and get certified with, you can do that.
I noticed
Um,
my neighbor has a golden retriever now.
yeah, maybe your neighbor needs
Because
to.
they do make good. Are golden retrievers like, they're the
Yeah,
most relaxed, friendly, loving dogs, aren't they?
yeah. I have a feeling that they probably are the majority, but we have lots of different breeds too. But out of our 28 teams, I bet you we have about 14, maybe half are
At
Goldens.
least half.
Yeah. It's just their loving personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they were made for that kind of work.
Yeah. But typically, if you start from a puppy, you'll do a puppy class, you'll do a dog obedience. And then the top level of having a pet is called the Canine Good Citizen.
Okay.
And that's like the top level of a pet, and you have to actually do an evaluation with your dog and get certified as Canine Good Citizen. And then you can go on to a therapy dog class, and it's probably 7 classes long. Most of our organization is through Pet Partners, which is a national therapy dog certified. They have about
Okay.
13,000 teams nationwide.
Oh, wow.
And you do about 6 hours of online education. So you're really getting a good
In
education. And
addition to
then,
the 7 classes? I'm sorry, I didn't
yeah,
mean to interrupt.
no, that's okay. Yep. So you'll take your 7 classes locally somewhere. We help people find places that teach therapy dog classes. Yep. You do that evaluation, and then you have to actually do a test with your dog. So it's not easy. I mean, it's strict. There's 20
Okay.
things you have to pass in order to be a therapy dog team. And some things are as simple as sit, stay, let somebody kind of roughhouse your dog a little bit to make sure what their
Oh,
reaction is. They drop a loud pan, and as long as your dog reacts but doesn't shut down, it's good.
okay.
You have to pass by a neutral dog. So,
Yeah, I think that's where my dog would fall off the list.
and that's where Willow didn't pass her first one. So we call it,
Okay.
we didn't fail. We lived and we learned.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, it was a learning curve for us. She wanted to get to that other dog. And right away, then the test stopped. We couldn't even continue on.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So it's
No, not
past.
even a chance for correction.
No, no.
Boy.
So you need to keep working with your dog, come back for another evaluation. And they just want to make sure that a dog you bring into a facility or a school really can handle themselves properly. And it's the relationship between the handler and the dog.
Okay.
She has to be able to trust me that I'll take her out of an environment that causes her stress and vice versa. And so we
Wow.
ask a lot of our dogs to behave on their best behavior for 2 hours.
And you know what? That could be a long time for a
It
dog.
can be. Yep. And some dogs, at the hour point are like, okay, I'm done. And that's okay. We
Yeah.
work with what they can do. My Willow will sleep through some of her visits
Oh,
because she gets right at home. So then the kids really can just pet her and work it out. And, those are some of our best talks because she's laying there and they can just, her ears. I say always, if you're having a stressful day, feel her
I
ears.
know they're silky.
They're so soft. Um, you know, and we want people to know that with their dogs at home. Their dogs at home feel their emotions.
Yeah.
If you're having a bad day, like you said, if the dog keeps jumping up on you, it's because it wants you to feel better. And it's trying to get your attention to say, come on, let me sit on your lap. We need to lower your blood pressure. You need to calm down. Um,
Yeah.
yep. So our dogs are very smart.
And now I'm wondering, because it's always the same time every night after dinner.
Needs a little extra loving.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So have you heard feedback from any of the families that since you've been taking the dogs in?
Yes, the school districts say that there's a whole different feel the days that we bring the dogs in. There's a whole different atmosphere.
The whole school is a buzz.
Yep. So the wave of the future, though, is to have a facility dog. So at one of our elementary schools in Monticello, the social worker has trained her therapy dog, who is not even 2 yet, and he goes to work every day with her.
Oh, wow.
And that is
So
the wave of the future.
so he's there all day.
Yep, he
He's
has a
not just a
schedule
two.
though. He has a schedule he has to follow so that he gets the rest he needs. But yeah, so I have a couple principals that I've met in the last 2 weeks that are like, "Oh, you mean my very well-behaved dog could come to work with me?" Yes, they can. Would you like to talk about that? Yep, we do. And
Yes,
so
we
they're on
would.
the journey now. And the thing that's so beautiful about that is that if a kid gets totally unregulated, like goes off, cannot calm down, let's say it would take 40 minutes for a child or an adult to regain their composure. When
Okay.
there is a dog present, it cuts the time in half.
Oh, wow. So we go from 40 minutes to 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Um,
Wow.
I think that we're going to see some real changes as far as kids maybe, maybe they have that stomach ache because they've got anxiety and they go to the nurse's office. If they could just have 10 minutes with the dog, we might see kids staying in school more. I
Yeah,
really think it's going to make a big difference.
that's huge. Um, okay, so now I have to talk about your logo
Yeah,
because that is so cool.
thank you.
And I think maybe we'll just make the logo the cover art for the whole episode.
I would love that.
And because it's very obviously a dog,
It
a
is
smiling dog.
smiling, a profile of a smiling dog. It
Yes.
is. We wanted to be named You're Not Alone, semicolon. And for those that don't know what the semicolon stands for, there's a lot of our generations of us that don't know what this means, but you're going to see it all over now in tattoos on people. And the semicolon means it's a pause. So just like when you write a sentence, you don't, and so I'll use my family for an example. My depression was so bad that it manifested as anorexia.
Oh,
If I would have put a period at the end of that statement, I would have accepted that I would forever be depressed. I'd always have an eating disorder. That's what a period says. When you put a semicolon, just like when you write a sentence, it's a pause. There is hope on that other side. And so our logo designer, a wonderful Christian man, blew me away when he showed me that the semicolon is the puppy's eye and smile.
that is so cool. That gives me goosebumps whenever I've heard that story before, obviously, but
Yeah.
it gives me goosebumps. I know my son has a tattoo like right in
Yep.
here with
Of
the
a
semicolon,
semicolon. Yep. So
and
does mine.
he went to Blaine High School and graduated like 2011, and it was during a time when they were having a rash of suicides there.
Ugh.
And
And it goes
I
in
thank
waves.
God every day that he survived Blaine High School because I know it wasn't easy for him.
No. And school is not easy for a lot of kids.
Yeah,
There's a lot of introverts in the world that struggle through those situations. And unfortunately, those are the ones that get picked on.
yeah, yeah. Those that don't quite fit in
Yep.
or don't,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. And so, what we like to tell kiddos is that even though you can be having the worst time in your life, you just got to hang in there. In hindsight, it'll look like a blip of time in the big scope of your life,
yeah,
that there
yeah,
is hope. And that is why, because when we suffered with our son, there was no one to talk to. You couldn't talk about mental health with people without looking like you were crazy.
yeah.
And we want to take that completely away. And this generation of kids are going to be the most socially, emotionally intelligent kids we have,
That's amazing.
because COVID happened and we needed to start talking about mental health.
Yes, absolutely. A lot
Yeah,
more than we do, and take that stigma
absolutely.
away from it.
Yep, absolutely.
And thankfully, there are businesses, nonprofits like your own to help us do that.
Thank you. We
And
are very blessed with this journey. It's been, to take something that was really hard and make it something good. And I think we counted, I
yeah,
think we're up to 16,000 students now. That's how many kids are in the schools where we're at.
wow, 16,000. That's huge.
So
And
hopefully,
you're touching them, and it's you're
yeah,
making a positive difference in the world,
try.
Amy, and I absolutely appreciate you for that. And
Thank you.
I know you're very busy. I know you have things to do, but I
Yes.
so appreciate the time that you came on to spend and talk to us about this, and I'm just blown away.
Thank you so much. We do need public support, if I can throw that in there,
Yeah.
because we need community partners or corporations that want to partner with us to
Oh,
help.
yeah,
That is something we're working on because we can't charge the school districts.
yeah.
So, if there's any corporations out there that love kids, dogs, and good mental health, please think about us at tax time.
And who doesn't, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The links will be all over my show notes. They'll have your website. They'll have where to donate.
Awesome.
I'll be promoting this on Facebook, YouTube, um, Instagram. I know you guys are huge on Instagram.
We are.
TikTok? Are you guys on TikTok yet?
We are not yet. Not yet. Unless one of
Wait
the
and see
youngsters.
if they get banned, right?
Yeah, we'll see if one of the youngsters in the generations below me want to take that one on or not.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it, Amy, and you guys are doing good work.
Thank you so much, Mike, for having us. We're happy to be here.
Wow. Amy's story is probably familiar to a lot of people listening to this podcast. I know it is to me. Not all of it, but the mental health portion. If you resonate with Amy's story, if you have a child who is suffering from depression or anxiety, I know a lot of us do these days, look into you'renotalone.org. If you have a dog, if you know somebody who has a dog that might be able to come into being a therapy dog and might be able to travel to schools and provide this service, get a hold of Amy Walls and reach out to her organization. If you would like to support her, if you have a company that would like a tax write-off, get a hold of Amy Walls. It's just such a fantastic organization, and I really do admire her and her teams for their work and their dedication to children's mental health. It's fantastic. I appreciate you listening in. I hope you were all able to take something positive out of Amy's story and bring it out and share it with the world. Please feel free to share this episode. I think it's very important, and Amy's work is important, and I'd like to get as many ears and eyes on it as possible. And that will do it for this episode. We'll be back again next week for sure with a brand new episode. But in the meantime, be that person who roots for others, who tells a stranger they look amazing, and encourages others to believe in themselves and their dreams. You've been listening to the Kindness Matters podcast. I am your host, Mike Rathbun. Have a fantastic week.